everyone, welcome back. We have 3 more fractions that we're going to look at today. Now I left off right where you did. So you're still going to need maybe some coloring utensils, a pencil, and some scissors for your lesson today. Right where we left off the last time is by discussing 1/6, looking at it on a fraction number line and shading different pieces of it. Please take your scissors and cut out the bottom of 1/6 to reveal the next fraction we'll work with today. Man, our pieces are getting so skinny. Please, with a coloring utensil or even just your pencil works if that's what you're using, will you please shade in one of these fractions, one of my pieces. Sorry, my crayons, they all got all melty. Okay, 1/8. As I have been doing, I'm just going to do this bottom portion. Make it nice and quick for you guys. But I know you guys love to color, so if you want to color it later, go ahead. Okay, 1/8. Go ahead and you can cut out the bottom. And then flip it up. And here are our activities. Since we haven't done any work since Wednesday, let's do this first one together. Directions are shade 1/8 of my circle. While my denominator tells us that there are 8 pieces altogether, which there are, and my numerator tells me that I need to shade one of my pieces. So I'm going to pick this one over here, and I'm going to shade one of my pieces. Excellent. Number 2, shade 5/8 of the circle. My denominator is still telling me that I have 8 pieces, which it hasn't changed by looking at the pictures. And my numerator tells me that I need to shade 5 of them. So I'm going to shade 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Please do that with me. Okay. Oops. Next, we are going to represent 3/8 on a number line. Over here is like saying 0 out of my 8 pieces were shaded. 0/8. Over here, 8 out of my 8 pieces are shaded. Now today I'm not going to number each individual fraction on the number line, but I'm just going to point and count. This is 0/8, this would be 1/8, this one would be 2/8, and next would come 3/8. So I know that 3/8 would be right there on my number line. This one I will mark 3/8. Excellent. Whenever you're ready, go ahead and take your scissors and cut along the dotted line to reveal our next fraction. Next, we'll look at 1/10. Alright, if you're ready, go ahead and take out a coloring utensil or something, and you may color in one of these pieces. I'll use dark green. Okay. When you're ready and you've colored in a piece of that, go ahead and cut out the bottom ones to get to our activities. You guys should be getting much, much better at this. So I'll give you a minute to shade 1/10 of the circle, to shade 5/10 on the circle, and to label 3/10 on the number line. I'll give you 1 minute before joining you back. Okay, you have about 10 seconds. All right, thanks for being patient. Our denominator tells us that there are 10 pieces altogether. My numerator says, Miss Grace, just shade 1. Next, my denominator tells us there are 10 pieces altogether. My numerator tells me to shade 5. Well, I'm going to pick to shade 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Does this fraction look like any other of our fractions that we've made? Keep that in mind, and I'll go back after we finish this. Last time I told you that this is 0 of my 10 pieces, and this is 10 out of my 10 pieces, right? 1 whole. Where would 3 land? 1/10, 2/10. This one would be 3/10, and I would mark it with a dot. All right, now back to your little challenge question there. Did this remind you of any other fractions that we've learned about? Well, I'm going to flip back to the first page because it reminded me of this fraction right here. 1/2. See how both of this side is shaded? Now our circle, this circle is smaller than this circle, but if our circles were the same size, then they would be the same. Something that you'll learn next year in your math class is this term called equivalent fractions, which just means that the fractions are equal to each other. Awesome. You are ready for your next fraction. So whenever you're done, please take your scissors and cut to reveal our next fraction. Go ahead and flip it up. Next, we are looking at 1/12. So take your last coloring utensil. Go ahead and shade in 1/12. Oops, I maybe shouldn't have used such a dark color. That's okay. Flip it up when you're done. Okay. We are ready to go. Your first direction is to shade 1/12 of your circle. I'll do this one with you. The denominator tells me that I have 12 pieces altogether, and my numerator tells me that I only want to color one piece, 1/12. Next, shade 7/12. My denominator here still telling me that I only have my denominator here telling me that I have 12 pieces altogether, and my numerator telling me to shade 7. I will shade 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Please do that with me. 7/12. Next, we're going to label 7/12 down below. I'm going to give you a chance to try this on your own before we check our work. So take about 15 seconds. Okay. Remember, this is 0/12. This is 12/12. This is 1/12. 2/12. 3/12. 4/12. 5/12. 6/12. 7/12. 8/12. 9/12. 10/12. 11/12. And then we can go back to our number line and find 7/12 and label it. Awesome, great job today. Oops. Now let's look at all of our fractions. If I were to ask you which fraction is the largest out of all of these, which one would you say? Why would you say that? If you told me that 1/2 is the largest, you're absolutely right. Pat yourself on the back. Just by looking at these, we can tell that it's the largest because its size is the biggest, right? If all of these are about the same, I did make a little mistake. I maybe should have stopped right here, but let's just pretend that all of these fractions go right to the end and all of these are the same size. Then we can compare them, right? 1/2 goes all the way here, and if we trace it down, no other fraction is that big. Okay, now I'm going to ask you, which fraction is the smallest? Well, if our biggest one was the one that went out the most, then our smallest one is going to be the one that doesn't, and that's 1/12 over here. Now, what do you notice about the 2 here and the 12 here? What pattern can we deduce? How can I look at a fraction and just say, oh, I know that one's bigger? Well, 1/2 only has 2 pieces. It has a small denominator, so the pieces are large. 1/12 has a large denominator, right? 12 is definitely greater than 2, so we cut into more pieces, so each piece is going to be smaller. Well, I hope you learned something today. I do have a couple of textbook examples that I'd like you to look at. So next, I would just ask that you get out textbook page 67 and refer back to the class page for specific instructions. Thanks, everyone.